Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه. We begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him because He is worthy of praise. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the evils within ourselves and the evil consequences of our actions. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings upon the last and final messenger, upon his family, his companions, his wives, and all those who follow his way until the end of time. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. We remind one another to be people of taqwa. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who are conscious of Him in our day-to-day affairs and in all of our decisions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among the muttaqeen. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen, amma ba'd. While I was watching the presidential debate, I couldn't help but feel something that I'm guessing you all felt, or those who watched it felt, while they were listening to all the points and all the policies and this and that and the back and forth. What I felt was, no matter what they said, whether it sounded good or not, I simply don't trust them. There's no trust. Why should I trust them? Whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans at the federal, state, or local level, we are in a crisis of trust. There's no trust. Why should we trust you? When over and over again, you have shown, and I say this very generally to elected officials, you have shown over and over, you simply do not care about the interest of your own constituents. And that's very damaging, isn't it? And we see how Americans, Muslim and non, are increasingly less trusting in their political system. And it's gotten so bad that many people don't even want to participate. And of course, that's not the point of this khutbah. We should participate. But the idea is, why don't people want to participate? Why do they see democracy is failing? And perhaps it has nothing to do with the system itself, but rather the broken trust between those in charge and those who put them in charge, meaning those who voted. And notice the damage it does. This, dear brothers and sisters, is what we call khiyana, betrayal. And this is what it does to a relationship, whether political relationship, individual relationship, whatever it is, communal relationship. When amana, the opposite of khiyana, amana, trust is lost, it damages the entire thing. So take a look at Israel's incessant lying over and all the lies, from the beheaded babies to the harassment to the lies that we've been hearing a million times since October 7th. It's become so bad, it has damaged America's reputation in front of the world. That is the result of khiyana, betrayal. When you look at, for example, Islamophobia, the multi-billion-dollar industry that seeks to smear our image in front of the West. When you look at their strategy is very simple. It is to create mistrust. You cannot trust the Muslim. That's what it is. That even if they present themselves as decent people and they're kind and generous and and trustworthy, no, there has to be something. They're doing it for a reason. I can't trust them. That is Islamophobia right there. And when you look at us Muslims, if I were to ask you to go ahead and start doing business with the person right next to you, how can I trust them? Isn't that the sentiment we have? Wallahi, when we try to do business networking, people are reluctant because how can I trust my fellow Muslim? And this is how we've gotten to this place. The ummah, the affairs of the ummah, this is how we got there, the lack of trust. And the Quran and Sunnah make it very clear to the Muslim that somebody who lacks amana, who's not trustworthy, is among the worst of people. Anas radiallahu ta'ala an says the following, قَلَّمَا خَطَبَنَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ إِلَّا قَالَ لَا إِيمَانَ لِمَنْ لَا أَمَانَةَ لَهُ وَلَا دِينَ لِمَنْ لَا عَهْدَ لَهُ. Anas radiallahu ta'ala an said, rarely did the Prophet ﷺ give a khutbah where he didn't say. Anas says, almost every time the Prophet gave a khutbah, he made the following statement. Somebody who's not trustworthy, they have no amana, has no deen, has no iman. And somebody who breaks their promises has no religion. And we all know the following hadith. Ayat al-munafiq thalath, the sign of hypocrisy is 3. إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبْ وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفْ وَإِذَا اؤْتُمِنَ خَانَ. That the sign of a hypocrite are these 3 things. When they speak, they lie. They're constant liars. When they are trusted with something, they betray that trust. And when they make a promise, they break the promise. Khiyana, there's no amana in this person. And so we Muslims, if we want to position ourselves for the future, to put ourselves in a better position for the ummah, if we want to continue to grow as we have been growing, then we need to make sure that as a community, as an ummah, amana is at the forefront of our engagement. And so today I want us to focus on 3 areas where I commonly hear that amana needs repair. And these are in no particular order. And just to be clear here, the following 3 are common. And so if you feel like you fall into one of these categories, and I will say I sometimes maybe make the mistake here. Don't see it as I'm of the worst of people, but rather I need to improve here. And the first of these things, dear brothers and sisters, is what's called amanat al-majlis. Privacy or confidentiality in our conversations. Has the following ever happened to you? You tell someone something, and a few days later, some random person comes and says, hey, I heard this and this about you. Has that happened to you? Well, how did that person find out? Except if the first person you told went and told someone else, usually their wife or their husband, and then they go tell their social network, and then somehow it comes back to you. See, the Prophet ﷺ says we're not allowed to do that. And it's a tribute to the Prophet that he said the following, alayhi salatu wasalam, al-majalis amana, wa ifsha'uha khiyana. When you are in a gathering with someone, whether a person or two, there is an amana there. There is a trust there. That what you speak about is meant to be between you. That when you vent or when you express your frustrations or you bring something in your private life to someone else, it is inherently expected in Islam that you preserve that person's secret and not go to other people for the purpose of conversation. Oh, I heard so-and-so say this, or I heard so-and-so say that. That's khiyana right there. That's betrayal right there. And so we need to be very aware, dear brothers and sisters. If we want to build the trust between our community, it must become a culture within our community that when I speak to someone or someone speaks to me, it is accepted and known that your secrecy is safe with me. That is a community I would like to be a part of. But a community where there is no amana, where you cannot trust people with your secrets or your information when you seek help or you seek consolements, then that is a community I'm sure none of us want to be a part of. So always remember this. When someone comes to you with information, you have a responsibility put on your shoulders by Allah and His Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam, that you are to preserve that person's secret. And that creates the trust. Number two, trust between spouses. Trust between spouses. We talk about the weakening of the family unit. We talk about how, people, that when husband and wife are together, that the relationship isn't strong, where divorce happens. Well, you have to look at the trust element. Do they trust each other? I'm constantly getting young men telling me, I don't want to get married because I just don't trust young women. Or you have young women coming and saying the same thing about men. I don't trust that they will even offer us anything. There's no trust right there. And you see the damage. Or sometimes husbands or wives will go to their mother or their father or whoever and start telling the secrets of their spouse. That is khiyana right there. That is betrayal right there. And you can quickly understand the damage that it does to the relationship. Can you imagine husband and wife who have to keep information away from each other because I don't trust that other person? Oh, what kind of a relationship is that? So the Prophet ﷺ, in order to ensure that that trust remains healthy and strong between husband and wife, so that the family remains healthy and strong, he says the following, ﷺ, إِنَّ مِنْ أَعْظَمِ الْأَمَانَةَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. This is heavy stuff. إِنَّ مِنْ أَعْظَمِ الْأَمَانَةِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الرَّجُلُ يُفْضِي إِلَى امْرَأَتِهِ وَتُفْضِي إِلَيْهِ ثُمَّ يَنْشُرُ سِرَّهَا. The Prophet says among the biggest trusts that you will hold with you in front of Allah on the day of judgment is whether or not you kept the secrets of your spouse. We will be asked about this. It is something we will be accountable for in front of Allah. And this isn't a small part of our accountability. The Prophet says, Inna min a'zam. Among the greatest things you will be held accountable in front of Allah is the secrets of your spouse. So don't share them. Don't share them. Whatever it may be, do not share the secrets of your spouse with a fellow person, even if you trust that fellow person. Because that relationship is meant to be as private as any relationship. And the Prophet ﷺ also says, يُسْتَأْمَنُ الرَّجُلُ زَوْجَتُهُ عَلَى عِرْضِهِ وَنَسَبِهِ وَمَالِهِ. Now when people get married, there is that amana, that I am trusting you with certain things, with my wealth, with our children, with my reputation. And so when a lady goes to her friends and complains about her husband, my husband this, my husband that, and he does this, and he does that, or the guy goes and complains about his wife to his buddies, that is destroying the other person's reputation. And that is a khiyana. We want amana, we want trust. And last, but definitely not least, And this is incredibly important because we're all guilty of the following. The trust between us, parents, and our children. I saw a study the other day that did the following. It put a parent in front of their child and told the parent, do not make any facial motions. Just look there, staring without any reaction. And the child's playing. And the child's playing. And the parent is sitting there, no reaction. And then after a few minutes, the child begins to cry and wants to get out of their chair. The child is distressed. But as soon as the parent began to react once again with their face, make facial reactions, the baby calmed down. Now imagine, dear brothers and sisters, we understand what this means. Our kids pick up on how we react to them. They understand that when they speak to us, are we listening? They understand it. And that means a lot in terms of their well-being. Now, how many times do we put this thing in front of our faces, scrolling there while our kids are talking to us? You know what happens? Our faces are emotionless. We're not reacting, and the child notices that. And while I'm not saying we're bad Muslims if we fall into this habit, I'm guilty of it. But the idea is there's a type of khiyana. There's a type of betrayal. Allah has put our children under us. He has entrusted this child with us. And that is a gift from Allah. And we are responsible for that. And the Prophet ﷺ, he teaches us, كل مسترعى مسؤول عما استرعى حتى إن الرجل يسأل عن زوجته وولده وعبده. The Prophet ﷺ says, Allah has made us responsible for certain people. Every one of us has responsibilities to fellow people. Sometimes a few, sometimes many. And wallahi, we will be asked about the ones we were responsible for, including our spouses and our children and we will say, our employees or those who work for us. We will be asked about that. And so if we want to maintain that trust between us and our children, then we need to make sure that we are emotionally there for them when they speak to us. We are mentally there for them when they speak to us, because that is an amana. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among the people of amana. Allahumma ameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters, it's easy for us to point to the atrocities of Israel and their lies that we have heard a million of since October 7th. But if we don't ourselves become truthful people, if we don't follow in the legacy of the Prophet ﷺ, in fact, all the prophets who before they even became a prophet, they were known as Sadiq and Amin. They were known as truthful people and as trustworthy people. Then, there's a type of, you're calling out their lies, but you yourself need improvement as well. And so to really motivate us to improve our amana, here the Prophet ﷺ says the following: التاجر الصدوق الأمين مع النبيين والصديقين والشهداء. A business person who is truthful and trustworthy will be with the prophets and the very righteous people and with the martyrs. You see the reward of amana? Just like those who are betrayers, who have no amana, are of the worst of people. Those who are trustworthy, those who are truthful, are among the best of people. And the Prophet ﷺ also tells us, you will face people who will betray you. So don't betray them because they betrayed you. He says, alayhi salatu wasalam, أَدِّ الْأَمَانَةَ إِلَى مَنِ ائْتَمَنَكَ وَلَا تَخُنْ مَنْ خَانَكَ. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam says, when someone trusts you with something, fulfill that trust. Don't betray it. But when somebody betrays you, don't react by betraying them. Because amana is precious. Amana is important. Amana is necessary for the health of my iman, for the health of my deen, and for the health of my community and my family and my ummah. So be a person of amana, even if it's against yourself, even if it's something that might bring you an amount of discomfort, even when lying seems to be the easy way out. Be people of amana, because we live in a time where globally there is a lack of leadership because there's a lack of trust. So fill that void by being people of amana in your home, in your community, in your businesses, at your jobs, wherever it is. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us by putting amana in our hearts. Allahumma ameen. A few quick announcements. Please make dua for Gulalai Quddus. She is sick. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her shifa. Pay attention to the following announcement. Pay attention. We have a very, very, very special guest coming tonight. His name is Dr. Ahmed Abdeen, and he is from Gaza. He's a doctor from Gaza. I don't mean an American doctor who went to Gaza and came back. No, I mean someone born and raised in Gaza, Khan Yunis, was there October 7th, was there throughout the atrocities, was in the hospital, serving the people there, and he has come to America on a scholarship to learn neurosurgery. He'll be joining us tonight. And the talk is in English, so everybody can come, inshallah. That's tonight, inshallah, at 7 p.m. here at OCIF. The whole community is invited, although it's sponsored by our youth group. The whole community is invited. So once again, we'll be joined by Dr. Ahmed Abdeen tonight, who is from Gaza, to talk, who is going to come and share his story. So please be here, and it is in English once again. On Saturday, tomorrow, at Garden Grove Masjid, ISOC, they're having a forum, a candidate forum at, I think it's 7 p.m. or 5 p.m. You can see the flyer. So please do go there. A bunch of candidates will be there to debate. So please go and participate there. Show these candidates that there's a lot of Muslim votes. That's why we show up, right? Even though there's the lack of trust, we still have a powerful tool called voting. So the more people who show up, the more of a message they get that this is a big voting block. OCIF's community barbecue is this Sunday at Olympic Park at 2 p.m. Please purchase your tickets. OCIF in Access, California is offering a sex education talk for teens on September 20th with Sheikh Yasser. See the flyer outside to register your teens. Check our 2024 Umrah trip this December, and please visit CARE's table outside, and please continue to support our students at UCI to sponsor their legal defense as they are being persecuted by people who hate freedom of speech. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this community a shield for them. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma aghfir lil-muslimin wal-muslimat wal-mu'minin wal-mu'minat al-ahya'i minhum wal-amwat innaka sami'un qareebun mujibu da'awati rabbil alamin wa aqim as-salah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah. Stawu istaqimu. Make sure your lines are straight, shoulder to shoulder, fill in any gaps. Remember, perfecting our lines, part of perfecting our salah and unifying our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unify us. Allahumma ameen. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.